So, welcome everyone. My name is Marco. I'm one of the engineers working at Grafana Labs on this new project called Mimir, which we just announced yesterday. If you joined this call and you're not part of Grafana Labs and Mimir sounds new to you, let me give you a super quick introduction. Mimir is a distributed remote storage, or actually a distributed database, metrics database for Prometheus. It was started several months ago on top of Cortex, and it's the project where we built some new features, especially targeting, scalability, and performances. Yesterday, we announced this new project, and this is the first community call where we are going to discuss the development of Mimir, and obviously we will be available to answer you any question. The first item in the agenda is about celebrating the launch. I don't know who put it there. Does anyone has any good idea to celebrate virtually?
Well, I put it there to avoid having agenda being empty, but yeah, we can sing a song if you want. I guess
you could play a song with your harmonica for us.
Yeah, maybe next time. I need to practice.
But yeah, I think the launch was pretty good. We have got positive feedback from the community. We have got several questions. As far as I know, the 3 videos we published on YouTube got several visualizations. So I'm personally quite happy about the launch, and in particular, I'm also happy about open sourcing some of the features like the scalable compactor or query sharding that was previously closed in GEM, which is Grafana Enterprise Metrics. And now we open source them in Mimir. What's your, and Brian mentioning we reached almost 8 GitHub stars in a day. So I would like to ask you, well, what are the features or the reasons why you are excited about Mimir?
I'm excited that it's public finally after so long time, and then that we can actually have users who know that they are using Mimir, because we used Mimir obviously in hosted metrics on our backends for a long time, but yeah, it was secret project for a long time. So I'm happy that it's public. We can talk to people, we can tell them what we have done and what we worked on and what features are coming. That's amazing.
Yeah, Joanna is mentioning the split and merge compactor. By the way, split and merge compactor is the, let's say, internal name we gave, or the code name we gave to the scalable compactor. And it's called the split and merge because it's a 2-stage compactor. So basically compaction happens over 2 stages. The first one is called split and the second merge. So yeah, we didn't have much creativity coming up with the name, so we just called it split and merge. Brian, would you like to, would you like to add anything else?
I think I would echo what Peter was saying, that having an open source is something of a relief. Joined Grafana Labs to work on open source, and then we were we were kind of preparing this launch in behind closed doors. So that's great for me. So you gave a talk at the last Grafana Con about the query sharding. I think that's a great feature. It actually goes with the split part of the compactor, that we can end up with specific sets of time series on different nodes, and then we can split, for instance, 16 ways, and then when we get a query in that's something like give me the average of these two metrics, then we can do all the sum. We can split the sum 16 ways for the top of the fraction, split the sum 16 ways for the bottom of the fraction, add them up, and now we finished the query. So that maybe wasn't the best explanation, but it goes fast, and it is kind of cool that it comes together, because we did the splitting of the compactor mostly for scalability reasons, but we also get a performance benefit because we can carefully lay out those shards, the subsets of series across the nodes.
Yeah. Thanks to the new compactor, data is sharded on the storage as well. So yeah, query sharding can leverage on that. Yeah, I agree. The two combines together are pretty powerful.
I was going to say, one of the things I'm excited about for the launch is that all the documentation is now public. There's been a ton of work that went into the documentation content and organization, and being able to link people to that or just browse it is really nice now that it's public.
Yeah, 100% agree. Doesn't matter how cool is your technology if people doesn't know about it or doesn't know how to use it. Yeah, documentation is critical.
I'll give another example. It's something Oleg worked on, who's on the call. When we get a label values query. So typical use for this is if you have a dashboard that's trying to show you a drop down, like maybe switching different namespaces or different clusters or something like that in your environment, it's going to send in a request saying, give me all the possible values of this label, like namespace. And if you zoom out your dashboard, so you're looking at, say, 30 days on the dashboard, then it actually, the front end will ask the back end for all of the possible values of over 30 days of data. And this used to crash the process that looks up the data, basically, because it would do a incredibly intensive index lookup to try and figure this out. And so Mimir has a much more efficient way of doing that. That we think put that into Prometheus as well. But that you're perhaps less likely to have a lot of data back in time in Prometheus.
Yeah, Oleg, maybe you also want to add that we introduced label caching for labels as well in Mimir.
Yeah, we had to add some caching because of the query sharding feature, because since we are now querying the same blocks for different shards of series, we should cache the results in the intermediate step, so we don't recalculate the same query again and again before sharding. And so we started with that, but I saw the cache hit ratio is like 99% in production. So it's actually people are querying the same labels again and again, which is not surprising, but it's nice to see a cache with 99% of hit rate. And yes, Brian, we backported the label values patch to Prometheus, so it's there and it's in the ingester TSDB too.
We also introduced some optimizations in the label regular expression matcher as well. So when you query matrix and you use a regex matcher for your label name value pairs, the regular expression needs to be evaluated for every single value we find for that label name in the database. And running, the regular expression, the same regular expression against 1,000 or even millions of entries could be pretty slow and could slow down your query. Oleg and Cyril worked on some cool optimizations to avoid running the regular expression at all for most of the use cases we see in production. And yeah, that was yet another cool performance optimization we did in Mimir.
Yeah, that was Cyril's amazing work, and I was approving the pairs like I understand something. But basically, we expand the regular expression to actual sets, because if a regular expression, like, I don't know, 1 digit generates a set of data, because 1 digit generates 10 numbers, we expand that and we query 10 numbers instead of actually matching the regular expression. We obviously have to put bounds on that, because sometimes that generated like thousands of combinations, so we do need some bounds, but it works great.
Yeah, Peter just wrote in the chat that Brian took this to another level. He optimized the regex engine in Go.
We don't actually link that in Mimir at the moment, do we?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Which it wasn't so urgent because of the thing you were talking about before, that we actually pre-optimize out most of the common cases. But yeah, so Prometheus has a hook so that we can link it, but we actually need to change the go.mod file to link it, the faster regex library.
Anyone else excited about the launch?
Or anyone that didn't work on it?
Anyone that didn't feel the pain? Okay, we can move to the next item in the agenda, which is actually from me. Because, yeah, I think one of, among, the big stream of news from yesterday launch, I think something where we didn't put enough focus yet is that our plan in terms of what's coming next is to make Mimir a general purpose time series database. At the beginning of this call, I mentioned it's a distributed TSDB for Prometheus. But we actually want to be able, we want to support other protocols as well. We want to be able to ingest metrics in multiple protocols or multiple formats, like OpenTelemetry, Influx, Graphite, and Datadog. And the main reason is to give people a smoother migration path in case they want to migrate from Influx, Graphite, and so on to Prometheus, to a Prometheus-like data storage. There's already a PR open from Gotham. Gotham is not in this code today, no. To add the OpenTelemetry support. And yeah, the other protocols will come next.
There was a question on our Grafana Mimir Slack channel about FlexQL language and support. And the question was basically, do we plan to support also the query path and different languages on the query path, including FlexQL, which is something I never heard about, to be honest. So what's the plan there?
Yeah, the plan right now is to support multiple protocols on the write path, and then use PromQL to read back this data.
Yeah, and the plan is to have support for the read path in the enterprise product, just to be clear.
Right. In Gem, you can already write metrics into the Graphite protocol and query it back using the Graphite query language. Pretty much the same for Datadog. Another very interesting ongoing work, which is happening right now, is about having the ability to ingest out of order samples in Mimir. And it's something Ganesh, Jesus, and Dieter are working on. So here we have a couple of people from the team working on it. I would be glad if you could share with us the latest news on it.
Yeah. So thanks, Marco, for bringing the topic. We've been working on this for the past couple of months. As you know, like Prometheus only supports samples that are in order. And we've been seeing the scenarios where, for some reasons, clients had like out of order samples, and Prometheus actually discards them. So we are trying to add support for them, and so that we avoid losing data. The work is public today with the release of Mimir. Like there is the Mimir Prometheus repository, and there is a branch there where we can see what we have. It's a bit messy still, like it's not ready to be merged into main, but it's been actively worked right now. And at this moment, we're working on the ingestion path and the query path of the samples into the TSDB. And in the coming weeks, we plan to work on the write-ahead log and the memory mapping files lifecycle. And the idea is to have like an MVP that we can test by the end of April. We're slightly behind on this, but like that's the entire idea. Yeah, Ganesh, not sure, or Dieter, not sure if I'm missing anything in case you want to speak up.
I don't think so, but our end goal is also to donate this to upstream Prometheus once we know that things are stable.
Right. We decided to do this in the Mimir Prometheus repository for now, test it, and once we know it's working and it's stable, to upstream it to the official Prometheus repository.
Is there also a design document which we can share publicly or not?
So
we
there is
don't have one. Yeah. So we have a very hacky design doc that we use to communicate between ourselves. But we plan to, now that Mimir Prometheus is public, we plan to write a publicly facing doc which can explain things to people who don't know TSTB in a naive terms and share it in upstream channels, like upstream Prometheus channels, to be communicated with the community, because we want to donate it to upstream eventually. So we want the upstream maintainers to also agree with the design that we choose.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this work because it solves a real issue some customers and users are facing.
I'm thinking that as soon as we have the doc, we can bring it back to the next agenda maybe, and yeah, use this as a medium to spread it and share it with other people.
Yeah, it would be great. So it's time to open the microphone and run any QA. So if you have any question, whatever it is, or if there's any topic you want to bring up to this call, yeah, this is your time. So please do it.
What's the next secret project we're going to open source?
It's a secret, Jack. It's a secret, Jack. That's the point.
Yeah, I think we completed the LGTM acronyms, so we are good for now, unless we want to add any other letter.
Exclamation mark, maybe. Not sure if that's going to be good for SEO.
I would just mention, Ganesh and Jesus mentioned Mimir Prometheus. It is a fork of Prometheus. We have a separate repository, but we don't plan to fork Prometheus for real. We only use that to keep our changes that were not yet upstreamed into Prometheus, and we are trying to push them to the upstream. So we don't have any plans to fork Prometheus, just to mention that.
Maybe we could change the README in that project and just state that with a huge heading, like this is a fork and not intended to be a fork.
Yeah, it's a place where we have some extra custom code, but it's under Apache 2 license. So anyone can take it back.
Right. We're only using it like because it speeds up for us and we can test it without having our own branches and everything. But the idea is to upstream all the changes back to Prometheus. Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, we also opened an issue with a reference implementation, just to give you an example, about upstreaming the GSDB changes we did for query sharding. There's still an ongoing conversation about it. But yeah, basically it's our playground where we can quickly iterate on TSDB and PromQL engine changes before trying to upstream them. Any other question or topic you want to talk about?
I would mention for anybody who is interested in Mimir to join Grafana Slack. There is a Mimir channel now where we hang out, and yeah, feel free to reach us that way. Or you can use GitHub discussions as well, or issues. So feel free to reach out any way that works for you.
Yeah, could you share the link to join the Grafana Labs community Slack workspace, because maybe some people doesn't know how to join it.
Yeah, it's just grafanaslack.com. I will put it into the agenda as well, or to the heading.
So Iron is asking, congratulations on the launch. Out of curiosity, how did you come up with the name Mimir? There was an internal, poll to suggest and vote names. The only requirement was that it had to start with M, M as matrix, in order to fit into our LGTM stack. L is Loki for logs, G is Grafana for visualization, T is Tempo for tracing, M is Mimir for metrics. I don't remember who proposed Mimir. Does anyone remember about it?
I think another criteria was to stay within the Nordics gods terminology, or so Mimir fits into that.
Yeah, I think Tom pitched it originally because he liked the Nordic side of it. And so in the Q&A with Raj, he was like, it fits with our roots. They're really excited about that.
Okay, Jack.
Yeah, I'm
We
not
need
sure
to find a new
Grafana
one.
is another god.
No, but metrics like Prometheus, Thanos, they have kind of that vibe, and I think that was the reason why we wanted something from the space, not space, from the Nordics.
Yeah, I think we can sum up that once we heard about Mimir proposal, we all loved it. So it was an easy choice for us, probably.
I wonder if anyone who is not a Grafana employee has tried Mimir yet from the people who are on the call.
And if you haven't, we can give you the link to a 10 minutes tutorial to run Mimir on your local machine using Docker Compose. I'm going to grab you the link and I will share in the doc.
I am a Grafana employee, but I started running Mimir on my own Kubernetes yesterday with JSONnet because, well, because I can, I guess. I can't. So yeah, I have contributed some changes today to the JSONnet, like from the user point of view, and I think we should try to get rid of a etcd for distributor tracker. It would be great to just rely on member list.
Yeah, I have a question to Peter about this, because the reason why member list is not supported by the HA tracker is because of the propagation time. So there's some latency between when you do a change to the distributed data structure, and this change is propagated. Propagated across all the replicas. Peter, I remember that this decision came from very early days of the member list implementation. But then while testing it, we actually fixed or improved the propagation delay. And now the member list propagation delay is way lower than the initial one. Have we ever reassessed if we can actually use member list for the HA tracker nowadays?
So I would ask you, what is the propagation delay now? Because any propagation delay longer than I don't know, a couple of 100 milliseconds is really bad in case of HA tracker, right? We don't want different distributors to accept samples from different replicas at the same time. Yeah, Brian, feel free to.
I have something to say about that. So this was another change that is in Mimir. Previously, the distributors would make the HA decision in band. So a sample would come in, it would go, oh, my last decision was a long time ago. I'm going to decide this one is the primary. And it would do a CAS, a compare and swap on the KV store, and wait for that to finish before passing on the sample. So I think that may have been, as well as propagation delay, the fact that it was coded as a CAS, which is something you can't effectively do in member list, or it doesn't really mean anything in member list because you're gossiping. So this has changed in Mimir, so the decision is made out of band. So basically, if you allow the decision to be 30 seconds out of date, then every 15 seconds it will remake the decision and store that back to the KV store. So I think it will actually work a lot better now that you'll be able to have a propagation delay in seconds and it will still work. We might need to tweak it a little bit because they're like, if you have 100 distributors, then 100 of them will consider making this decision, and we try to randomize which one. So we try to get one of them to make the decision and not 100 of them. So you might need to tweak that bit. But yeah, I think the fact that we've moved the HA, the primary secondary decision, out of band is going to make it work better with member list.
But it still happens relatively quickly right now. So it is not synchronous call while we are executing the write, but it happens in the background, basically immediately after we decide to change. Yeah,
when I talk about in band and out of band, I mean the samples are coming in, and it's the decision used to hold up the samples coming in. The decision and the CAS. Mm-hmm. And so I made that change because of tail latency, because as the system got bigger, the CAS might fail because like two of them might have gone in at once, and it started to get more and more expensive as you make the system bigger. So we moved the thing completely to the background. So as long as the decision keeps being made the same way, which is the normal case, the happy path, the samples will go straight through. They don't get held up on the decision. And then in a background Go routine, we make the decision, we do a CAS. So the CAS itself is still synchronous, but it doesn't hold up the samples coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not synchronous with the push request. But it still happens relatively fast. So while in case of member list, it can take seconds before the change propagates to everybody, all the ingesters. And in that time, some ingesters would accept samples from one replica and other would accept samples from different replica.
Well, no, I don't think that is exactly what would happen, because we try to remake the decision. We try to update the decision twice as often as we expire the decision. So if you say, I have a 30-second window, then we actually decide every 15 seconds. So that data can be 15 seconds out of date, and you'll still make the right decision.
Are there any good docs on this? So people like me could follow the conversation?
Source code?
Probably the PR where I changed it.
I think we do have some documentation on this feature on the blog, but it doesn't reflect the latest changes by Brian. But at least it explains how the feature works.
Yeah, I will look for it.
But we have documentation on the HA tracker on a high level. I linked the documentation in the Google document. But yeah, it's from a user perspective, not from an internal perspective.
So Marco, to your original question, I don't think we have reconsidered using member list for HA yet. But yeah, maybe it's a good time to try again.
Yeah, I'm previously you mentioned that if propagation time are high or propagation is low, you may end up with ingesting series from or samples from multiple Prometheus replicas at the same time. But the failover triggers when we are not receiving anymore the data from one replica. So is the issue really real?
I think that's a good question, and I'm not fast enough to think the solution on the spot. But yeah, you are making a good point.
Okay, maybe we can open an issue and we can keep the conversation in an issue.
I can take care of that.
Anything else?
I have a question for Tom, who I see on the call. I just want to check, are you making Helm charts for Cortex? Okay, I guess you are not listening. But I believe you are one of the Helm chart maintainers of the Cortex, if I'm not wrong. Do you plan to take a look at Mimir Helm charts? I think we do actually have someone working on those already, but it might be good to have another people who actually wants to use them. Okay, I scared him off. I'm sorry.
Hey, sorry, something's really funny with my Meet app. It's locking up.
Oh, now we can hear you.
I got like every other word, but I think you were talking to me.
I was talking to you because I recognize your name from the Helm chart of Cortex, sorry, from the maintainers of the Cortex Helm charts. I was wondering if you plan to take a look at Mimir and maybe do some Helm charts there and perhaps use the ones that we are working on. Those should be hopefully public soon. I don't know what the plan actually there is, but we have some Helm charts in work.
I work on the Helm chart professionally, and so before I could work on this project, I'd have to have our legal team sign off because we have to get approval for everything at GPL. So not yet.
All right, thank you. And Jack says that our Helm charts for Mimir are actually public. I have no idea where to find them.
I will share you the link. They're in our community Helm charts repo. We only had a minor panic yesterday publishing them because we found out our signing key. That is exactly the link. The signing key for all of our community Helm charts expired the day before the Mimir launch. We found that out and fixed it. We've got the Mimir distributed chart, and this follows the form of the Loki distributed chart. And there is a migration guide from going from the Cortex Helm chart to the Mimir Helm chart. The only thing that's been actively worked on right now is that we didn't support service monitors as of the day 0 launch or hour 0 launch, but we now have support for service monitors in there. So you won't lose them if you migrate. I'm not sure what we are licensing our Helm charts, actually. I don't see that we need to license them AGPL, but
the repo says Apache 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I assumed it was in the same repo with the singular AGPL license. So then my next question would be, what is the review strategy? Because I know I've made PRs for the Loki Helm chart and they just sit open forever.
I think we're keen to be more active in maintaining this chart. I've been working on the enterprise metrics chart that was previously a Helm chart and then completely diverged. And I think it was difficult for us not having more involvement and more active maintainership of the subchart. So we're going to hopefully subchart the Mimir chart, and we'll be available for reviews for that for both the enterprise and the Mimir chart. But we do have some community maintainers there as well. We're not the sole maintainers in this repo. I believe we've got people outside of Grafana that are actively reviewing and merging pull requests. But it's something we need to focus more time on, I think.
Yeah, our problem with the Helm charts is that we don't use them internally, so we don't test them regularly or anything like that.
Not yet.
We invest heavily into JSONnet instead. But yeah, Jack has plans apparently.
Yeah, we had a working group internally. We want to improve the quality of the Helm charts because a lot of our customers use them. And so part of that is going to involve running them more internally. I think probably JSONnet will still be in the mix. We don't want to take that out of it. But we'll use Tanker's Helm chart support to make sure we deploy more environments that use Helm and actively test these.
Yeah, Jack, you mentioned about the migration guide from Cortex to Mimir using Helm. But there was quite a lot of work to offer people who want to migrate from Cortex to Mimir a smooth migration process, including a tool to automatically convert the Cortex configuration to the Mimir configuration. Who want to spend a few words about it?
I can certainly say that it made my documentation life a lot easier. Instead of having to explain all of the changes we've made in words and explain why you might want to change them or what you need to change this value from to this tool was perfect for automating that. It supports input in CLI flag form or config file form, and then just gives you the equivalent Mimir config. So you give it Cortex config, and it gives you the Mimir config back. So we've renamed some of the configuration flags, which I think were quite confusing in the Cortex config, and we've removed some that don't require tuning, so those also get removed automatically for you. The one that comes off the top of the head is auth.enabled, being the Cortex term for whether or not to enable multi-tenancy. That's renamed in Mimir. But yeah, a brilliant tool. I don't think Dimitar's on the call, but he put a lot of work into that and has made it very effective. And I'm hoping that we can use it for all future releases as well. We can give users a really convenient transition between all updates to the configuration file and codify those changes for them. Hello.
Yeah, I've put a couple of links in the agenda document. Brian, you worked on a video showing the migration, right?
Yeah. So we published a video using the JSONet to migrate from Cortex to Mimir. We never published the same video using Helm because I never got it to work just absolutely cleanly. So that's kind of still open.
Yeah, I think we fixed some of the last of those quirks on the day of the launch. So hopefully people want to try it out. We can get close. I mean, if anyone wants to record a video.
And hi, Bartek, joined us in the chat.
Hello. Sorry for being late. Glad to see so many people here. And congrats, by the way. Yeah, it's good launch.
Yeah, thank you.
2 days before April's Fool. So hopefully it's not a joke.
Yeah, we timed it wrong. It should have been 1st of April.
Yeah, everybody would have questions.
Yeah, I think the first comment we received yesterday, like 1 minute after lunch, was, "Is this an April Fool?"
Yeah, so by the way, yeah, I think it's definitely like kind of interesting situation, but I think it's already we need to thank you, because we were really going through code just literally today, because we are implementing that for Thanos like KubeCon talk. So we are like could totally dive into that and other features and kind of validation of our design. So yeah, we can in some form still kind of collaborate and learn from each other. So yeah, that's great. So
we have mentioned before you joined, we have mentioned that we have this Mimir Prometheus repository where we have some or a lot of code that we did to change Prometheus to support the new features. And it's absolutely not our plan to fork Prometheus, but to upstream these changes as much as possible. And this is, of course, Apache 2 licensed code. So if you want to take a look at some of the details, how we did something, that's a good place to check out.
This is actually very good, right? Because we saw, some kind of AST parsing, whatever, that we might want to extend and stuff like that. And you yeah, there are lots of things that takes time to get, like any of those sharding, to be honest, as well. It takes time to get upstream. So yeah, if we can collaborate here, yeah. We have so many things like that, and we're just, should we just copy the code and for now, for KubeCon, just deliver it or focus to like properly upstream it? So yeah, great point. Thanks. I will share with you.
Yeah, we mentioned previously in the call, I don't know if you are aware about this ongoing work, but there are some people like Jesus and Ganesh, which are here in the call, that are working to, or at least experimenting to add out of order samples support to TSDB. Yeah, and that's one of the experimental, or let's say, in progress work we are doing in the fork repo, but we plan to offer upstream if the Prometheus community is interested.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds cool. Yeah, I just saw this item of my agenda, so we'll take a look. No, pretty good. Amazing. Oh, maybe one question since there's a silence here. I can see the point about using different ingestion APIs. And just TLDR, like, was there any troubles or interesting like gaps when you were, when you were implementing OTLP support? I think you already did. There is a PR, right? Any interesting worries or incompatibilities that you were kind of tackling with?
I think, Marco, you are the only one who took a real look at that PR. It came from Gotham.
Yeah, the people working on it is not in this call, so I'm not the best person to answer this question. Gotham is one of the persons who worked on it. Yeah, I'm just reviewing the PR, and the PR is actually pretty straightforward. But I don't know anything, which happened behind the hood.
I spoke to Gotham about the bigger picture last week, and he was saying the OpenTelemetry collector, I think, vendors the Prometheus code, which does scraping. It then translates the data into OpenTelemetry data structures. Then they might go through a pipeline. Then they get sent over the wire in OTLP metrics format. Then they come into Mimir, maybe, where they get translated back into. So basically, the two translations at each end is not great. It's like, if that's the only thing you're going to do, then you don't want to do that. But if you're not starting with Prometheus, or if you're benefiting from a pipeline, or so if you have some other reason to do it, then you pay that price.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get the picture if this is something that people needs, and if Thanos or other system has to support those other APIs. And I think we don't have those requests for now, especially given collector is amazingly it supports the exporter, Prometheus exporter with remote write. So yeah, it's interesting to see how marrying those two standards actually looks like inside, and what problems you have. So I will take a look. Thank you for this, PR. Thank you.
I think we're pretty much at time. Thanks everyone for coming.
Yeah, thank you. The next call is on the last Thursday of April. And obviously, if you want to follow the development more closely, you are more than welcome to check out the Mimir GitHub repository. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well,